Identifying giftedness. What to know. Who are gifted students? Gifted individuals are those who demonstrate outstanding levels of aptitude, defined as an exceptional ability to reason and learn, or competence in one or more domains. Domains include any structured area of activity with its own symbol system, mathematics, music, language, and or a set of sensory motor skills, painting, dance, sports. Is your child gifted? How do you tell if your child is gifted? Schools that have programs for gifted students are often able to identify gifted kids by using traditional screening methods like group IQ tests, review of achievement test scores, and past grades, observation, and getting input from teachers and parents. There are no universal accepted traits that you can look for and no definitive signs that will tell you for sure whether your child is gifted. However, many gifted children share some common characteristics, and knowing these is a good place to start. Characteristics of giftedness. Often displays a highly developed sense of humor. Continues to be curious about everything. Rapid learner. Many interests and hobbies. Sometimes prefers to study with intensity. Into collections. Perfectionism. Extremely competitive. Very active imagination. Different perspective on ideas. Sees unusual connections and twists. May be a lone worker. Displays high level of thinking than peers. Original thinker and doer. May be nonconformist. May display leadership abilities, may attempt to do math work in their head, avid reader, advanced vocabulary, used naturally although they may not be able to pronounce words correctly they've never heard but only read. Why are gifted programs needed? Two of the most important qualities our school systems can help instill is a love for learning and the ability to overcome adversity. That requires an appropriate level of instruction, academics that stimulate the intellect, and a pace appropriate to the learner. Gifted and talented students are those with high abilities needed gifted education programs that will challenge them in regular classroom settings, and enrichment and accelerated programs to enable them to make continuous progress in school. So why the need for gifted programs? It provides equal and fair learning conditions for advanced and gifted students. It meets the unique needs of gifted children. It helps gifted students to achieve their potential. It aids other students in achieving their potential. It is inexpensive compared to the results of not having gifted education. According to a recent report on high achieving students, more than 7 in 10 teachers of these students surveyed noted that their brightest students were not challenged or given a chance to thrive in their classrooms. Additionally, gifted students need gifted programming in many cases because the general education program is not yet ready to meet the needs of gifted students. It's more than just giving students a challenge in classrooms. Gifted programming positively influences students' futures. Several longitudinal studies have shown that gifted programs have a positive effect on students' post-secondary plans. For example, studies found that 320 students identified during adolescence who received services to the secondary level pursued doctoral degrees at more than 50 times the base rate expectations. In a follow-up report of the same study participants at age 38, 203 participants, or 63%, reported holding advanced terminal degrees, master's and above. Of these, 142, 44%, held doctoral degrees, and 8 of these 142 had more than one doctoral degree. Further benefits of gifted programs have been shown to include that students who have participated in gifted programs maintained their interests over time and stayed involved in creative, productive work after they finished college and graduate school. How to identify giftedness, why we identify, and how we identify. By the Federal Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, students identified as gifted are entitled to an individualized education plan that gives them special programs or instruction. Not all bright children are gifted, and all gifted children are so bright from their peers that they need special support. For this reason, nearly all school districts have developed a systematic way to screen students for such programs. Federal law does not mandate how school districts identify gifted children, and there is no universal agreement as to what constitutes intelligence or giftedness. Most identification systems use a traditional nomination, screening, selection approach, and at least part of the multiple criteria screening process is usually based on non-test information, such as teacher nominations and/or ratings. Still, many school districts use an individually administered IQ test as at least part of their screening process, and those that do often use the IQ score as a primary condition of placement. Multiple criteria approach. Most school districts use a multifaceted approach to identification, basing the selection of children on a variety of screening methods. Some rate children on a point scale in several areas, including how they score on an individual IQ test, and then offer gifted program services to those receiving a certain number of points. Others use multiple screening methods to select children for an individual IQ test and then use a score on that test as the final criterion of which selection is made. Criteria can include observing the child in the classroom, gathering input from past teachers, reviewing grades and test scores, examination of sample schoolwork, and comparison of the student to a list of characteristics that are typically associated with gifted students. 5 areas of giftedness: academic, artistic, leadership, creative, intellectual. We have students who are gifted mathematicians but struggle in language arts. We have those who are gifted leaders but struggle academically. And there are those who are gifted academically but struggle in interpersonal relationships or in their organizational skills. He can't possibly be gifted. He never turns in any work. Did you know gifted children are at risk? Left unchallenged, gifted students can regress and actually lose their gifts. To learn, the brain must be stimulated to create a network of connections like branches on a tree. When they're not stimulated, the brain actually prunes these connections away. They often feel separated from peers and devalued by adults, often resulting in lost confidence, depression, and underachievement. 73% of gifted children are not identified. Only 56% of gifted children from lower income backgrounds were still high achievers in reading by the time they reached 5th grade. Studies show that fewer than 20% of gifted children are sufficiently challenged in school. Did you know? National survey of 900 public teachers were asked who is most likely to get one-on-one attention from teachers. Struggling students, 81%. Advanced students, 5%. How we identify: multiple data sources, data collection over time, information from annual teacher surveys, standardized test scores, consistent rank of at least 90% or higher, and ranking in the MAT's results. Renzulli Identification System for Gifted Program Services. The focal point of this identification system is a talent pool of students that will serve as the major, but not the only, target group for participation in a wide variety of supplementary services. To develop creativity and/or task commitment in talent pool students and other students who may come to our attention through alternate means of identification. To provide learning experiences and support systems that promote the interaction of creativity, task commitment, and above average ability. To provide opportunities, resources, and encouragement for the development and application of gifted behaviors. Renzulli's 3-ring conception of giftedness. Above average ability includes high levels of abstract thinking, verbal and numerical reasoning, spatial relations, memory, and word fluency. Task commitment includes high levels of interest, enthusiasm, fascination, involvement, and perseverance in a particular problem area of study. Creativity refers to fluency, flexibility, a high level of curiosity, and originality of thought. Students demonstrating creativity are receptive to that which is new and different, even irrational in thoughts, actions, and work products. The process. Step 1, test score nominations. Step 2, teacher nominations. Step 3, alternative pathways. Step 4, special nominations. Step 5, notification of parents. And Step 6, action information nominations. Step 1, test score nominations. All students who score at or above the 92nd percentile, again using local norms, in the talent pool. This approach guarantees that all traditionally bright youngsters will automatically be selected, and they will account for approximately 50% of our talent pool. This process guarantees admission to bright underachievers. Step 2, teacher nominations. This step allows teachers to nominate students who display characteristics that are not easily determined by tests: high levels of creativity, task commitment, unusual interests, talents, or special areas of superior performance of potential. Step 3, alternate pathways. Whereas all schools using this identification system make use of test score and teacher nominations, alternate pathways are considered to be local options and are pursued in varying degrees by individual school districts. Alternate pathways generally consist of parent nominations, peer nominations, tests of creativity, self nominations, product evaluations, and virtually any other procedure that might lead to initial consideration by a screening committee. The major difference between alternate pathways on one hand and test score and teacher nominations on the other is that alternate pathways are not automatic. In other words, students nominated through one or more alternate pathways will be reviewed by a screening committee, after which a selection decision will be made. Step 4. Special nominations. Safety valve number 1. Special nominations represent the first of two safety valves in this identification system. This procedure involves circulating a list of all students who have been nominated through one of the procedures in steps 1 through 3 to all teachers within the school, and in previous schools if students have matriculated from another building. This procedure allows previous year teachers to nominate students who have not been recommended by their present teacher, and it also allows resource teachers to make recommendations based on their own previous experience with students who have already been in the talent pool, or students they may have encountered as a part of enrichment experiences that might have been offered in regular classrooms. Step 5. Notification or orientation of parents. A letter of notification and a comprehensive description of the program is forwarded to the parents of all talent pool students, indicating that their youngster has been placed in the talent pool for the year. The letter does not indicate that a child has been certified as gifted, but rather explains the nature of the program and extends an invitation to parents for an orientation meeting. At this meeting, a description of the three-ring conception of giftedness is provided, as well as an explanation of all program policies, procedures, and activities. Step 6. Activation information nominations. Safety valve number 2. In spite of our best efforts, this system will occasionally overlook students who, for one reason or another, are not selected for talent pool membership. Action information can best be defined as the dynamic interactions that occur when a student becomes extremely interested in or excited about a particular topic, area of study, issue, idea, or event that takes place in school or the non-school environment. It is derived from the concept of performance-based assessment, and it serves as the second safety valve in this identification system. The transmission of an action information message does not mean that a student will automatically evolve into advanced level services. However, it serves as the basics for a careful review of the situation to determine if such services are warranted. So what to do if you think your child may be gifted? Ask the right questions. The best assessment questions are not, what is our child's IQ, or is my child gifted, but rather, how does our child learn? What are his or her strengths and weaknesses? What does he or she need right now in order to feel both challenged and supported in their learning? And what can we do to help? Assess what your child knows, needs to know, and wants to know. The starting point for answering the right questions is an assessment of the child's current levels of achievement, his or her strengths and weaknesses by subject area, as well as his or her interests. Work with teachers. It may be necessary to adapt educational expectations to fit your child's ability and interests. Things go best when teachers inform their daily instruction, activities, and expectations with their students' current knowledge, abilities, and interests, and involve the children in a co-creating learning. In this way, educational practice transcends labels like gifted and learning disabled. Gifted students represent a vital resource that has unlimited potential. We need to make sure that these exceptional young people have the support and services they need to be successful.
If America is going to keep competitive in a flat world and global economy, then all of our gifted students, including those who are diversely gifted, need to be recognized and challenged. They need to be taught in ways that respect, honor, and celebrate their learning differences and incorporate 21st century teaching and learning skills to maximize learning potential. Yet diversely gifted students are not always easily identified. Sometimes it's a matter of simply not knowing how to discern their gifts. They learn outside of the box and don't fit the mold of what many currently believe to be the typical gifted learner. Yet these students are uniquely designed learners who possess impressive strengths and abilities that can't always be measured by a single test.